at a few different things. First of all, we're going to look at what are called compatible numbers. Okay, compatible numbers just mean that they go well together. Okay, so that we can work with them. Now, if I look at numbers like 13 and 24, I would say they are not compatible. Okay, they do not go well together. How could I slightly change these numbers so that they do go well together? Any ideas? I might not have to change both of them. I might only have to change one number. Savannah?
Could you change both of them?
You could change both of them.
You change like 15 and 25?
Sure, I could change it to 15 and 25. And why would 15 and 25 go better together? Because they both end in a 5, right? Okay. I actually wouldn't have gone 15 and 25. Here's what I would have done. I would have gone 12 and 24. Why might have I gone 12 and 24? Does anybody know? Maya?
Because it's half.
Yeah, it's half, right? 12 is half of 24. Is half easier to work with? Yeah, half is a nice number. Okay, it's easy to find half of something. Okay, how about 34 and 70? They're both even numbers, that's okay. But what would be nicer to go with 70 than 34? Any ideas what would be a nicer number? 35, right? Because 35 is half of 70. So those would be much more compatible. So today, when we are estimating, we're going to change our numbers. That's the whole point of estimating. We're going to make them nicer numbers to work with. Hayden, do you have this packet? Okay, so we're going to try to make them much, much nicer numbers to work with. Okay, now as we do that, we have what are called benchmarks. Okay, we're going to talk a lot about these benchmarks throughout the percent unit. Okay, and each of these benchmarks has a decimal and a fraction that go with them. And not that you necessarily need to memorize them, but a lot of them you will know. Are there any of these percents up here that you can tell me either the fraction or the decimal that goes with it? Does anybody know any of them? Oh, look at that. What happened? Ah! You guys, it quit on me. Percent?
Because aren't you doing like the half?
Kind of, okay, but actually 10% is 1/10 as a fraction. 10% is 1/10, so you can fill that in. The decimal is 0.1. So fill that in on the table. Are there any others that you know that you can think of? Krista?
Isn't 25 1/4?
Absolutely. 25% is 1/4. Right? 4 25% is 100%. And it's 0.25 as a decimal. Any others you know? You guys should know 50%, right? What's 50%? Shout it out. What's 50%? 50% of something is half. Yeah, you knew that one. Or 0.5. Any others that you know? Do you know 75%? 3/4, yeah. Or 0.75 as the decimal. 100%? That's just one. That's the whole. So 100% is just one. Okay, the other ones are a little bit trickier. 5% is 1/20th. 5% is like a nickel out of a dollar. It takes 20 nickels to get a full dollar. Okay, so it'd be 1/20th. Or 0.05 as a decimal. Okay, these other two you need to start recognizing. When you see 33.3 repeating as a percent, that's 0.3 repeating as a decimal. And it's 1/3 as a fraction. Okay, you guys need to recognize that 0.3 repeating is the same as 1/3. They mean the same thing. And 66.6% is 0.6 repeating, or 2/3. Okay, questions there? Any questions on those benchmarks? Because then we're going to talk about how we're going to use the benchmarks. Okay. So a lot of this, if we're estimating, we want to be able to do it in our head. That's the whole point of it. Okay, estimating should be easy to do in our head. Okay, and we want to make it as easy as possible to do in your head. In your head, how do you find half of a number? Savannah? Divide it by 2. Okay? So in other words, if somebody asked me to find 50% of something, I could just divide it by 2. Because 50% and 1/2 are the same thing. So because those are equal, I can just divide by 2. How do you find 1/3 of a number? Anybody know how you find 1/3 of a number? I want to find 1/3 of something. I have a full candy bar and I want 1/3 of it. How many pieces do I break it into? 3, right? Everybody agree with that? Okay. So if I want to find 1/3 of a number, I'm going to divide by 3. Okay. Which is really 33.3 repeating percent, because that equals 1/3. Okay, this isn't on here, but how would you find 1/4 of a number? Krista? Divide by 4. How do you find 1/5 of a number? Go ahead. Divide by 5. How do you find 1/10 of a number? Okay, so look at what's happening. To find half, you divide by 2. To find 1/3, you divide by 3. To find 1/4, you divide by 4. To find 1/5, you divide by 5. To find 1/10, you divide by 10. So anytime you are asked to find a fraction of something where the top number is 1 and the bottom number is a different number, you divide by whatever's on the bottom. Okay? 1/9 you divide by 9. 1/8 you would divide by 8. Does that make sense? Okay, so if I know 1/3 of a number, how do you think you might find 2/3? I know I can find 1/3 by divide by 3. After I divide by 3, how would I find 2/3 of a number? If I know 1/3, how do I get 2? Savannah, what do you think?
Do you add 2 of them together?
Add 2 of them together or multiply by 2. So divide by 3, then multiply by 2. So if I want 2/3, I can divide by 3, then multiply by 2. What if I wanted, how do I find 1/4? How do you find 1/4 of a number? What's the rule? What would you do? Divide by 4. Okay? If you know 1/4, how would you find 3/4? Okay, if we knew 1/3, we divided by 3 and then multiplied by 2. I know 1/4, divide by 4. How do I find 3/4? I'm going to start with divide by 4. Then what? If I know 1/4, how do I get 3/4? And somebody said it online, you multiply by 3. Okay, because if I know 1 and I want 3, I just need that 3 times. Okay? All right, flip the page in your packet. Okay, we're going to talk about how we can do this. Now, we need to make these numbers that'll work. Okay, we're estimating. We're going to estimate by rounding. So I want to make these numbers that go well together. And 24% of 44, I don't know. I don't want to figure that out in my head. Okay? But I can estimate this. Now, we're going to make these nice numbers. And this is where the benchmarks are going to come into place. 24% is close to what nicer percent? What would be nicer than 24%? I feel like we need to do jumping jacks or something. You guys, I know it's like a Monday. It's Tuesday, but it feels like a Monday. Cassidy. 22, that's kind of, is 22% on our benchmarks. If you look back in your packet at your benchmarks, is 22% on there? What's close to 24% that's on your benchmarks? Krista? 25. So I'm going to cross off the 24% and make it 25%. And 25% really is 1/4. Everybody agree with that? Is it easy to find 1/4 of 44? Is that easy to do in your head? How do we find 1/4 of something? Divide by 4. Right? To find 1/4, we divide by 4. Can you do 44 divided by 4? That is 11. So there's a possible answer. Now, some of you might have said, I didn't even think of that. Could have I made 44 a nicer number? What could have you put 44 at? What would be nicer than 44? What's close to 44? But maybe it would be easier to do in our head. Savannah, 50 or 40? It wouldn't matter. Let's go 40 since it's a little closer. Is it easy to find 1/4 of 40? Or 40 divided by 4 is 10. You guys, both of these answers are correct. Okay, and this is the hard part of estimating because we are so used to in math getting one right answer. And there can only be one right answer, right? But when you estimate, there can be lots of right answers. So when you enter an answer on your homework today, I'm accepting a range of numbers. Okay, I would accept 10, I would accept 11, I would accept 12. They're all close. Would I accept 40? No. That's 100%. We only want 25%. Okay, so it's got to be within reason, but we're estimating. Estimating is important because we don't always need exact answers. So let's look at the next one. I want to estimate 21% of 66. Okay, if I look at my benchmarks, what's close to 21%? And I can round up or I can round down. It doesn't matter. Would it be okay to go to 25%? Absolutely. Okay? So I could take this 21% and say, no, I don't want that. I want 25%. Because 25% is 1/4. Can I divide 66 nicely by 4? Not really. Could I make 66 a nicer number? Could I change it so that I could divide by 4? How about if I went to 60? Can we divide 60 by 4? Or think about this, you guys. Dividing by 4 is like half and half again. What's half of 60? What's half of 60, everyone? 30. What's half of 30? 15. Was that easy to do in our head? Absolutely. We forget about those things because we're so used to, oh, give me my calculator. Like some of you grab your calculator to do 2 plus 2. Or you don't even do that anymore. This is what my kid does. Hey, Siri, what's 2 plus 2? And then as a math teacher mom, I kind of want to smack him. Like, no, you can't do that. Okay? How many of you do that? Hey, Siri. And you guys do it for simple problems just because you don't want to think. Okay? So I'm going to change this to 60. So you can change both numbers within reason. I don't want to make 66 all the way down to 10 or something like that. But within reason, you can change the number. Okay? So 1/4 of 60, if I divide by 2 twice, my answer is about 15. Okay, an estimate there would be 15. Questions there? Okay, let's try a couple more. So we can use a benchmark, or you could break it into a couple percents. I'm going to show you both. Okay, I want to estimate 36% of 35. Okay, let's look at our benchmarks. So using this table, 36% is close to what percent on that table? If I look at that table, what is it maybe closest to that I could use? Go ahead, Savannah. 33.3. So I'm going to change this to 33.3%. And I did that because I want 1/3. Okay, 1/3 is easy to figure out in my head. Because I just have to divide by 3. Can I divide 35 by 3? Is there a number close to 35 that I can divide by 3? What number close to 35 can be divided by 3? $30? Can 30 be divided by 3? Sure, I could change this to 30. 1/3 of 30 is 10, right? 30 divided by 3 is 10. Could have I went to 33? Sure, what's 33 divided by 3? 11. Could have I gone to 36? What's 36 divided by 3? 12. Any of these answers would be correct. They're all close. Is there a huge difference between 10 and 12? If I was going to leave a tip for a waiter or waitress and I was going to leave a 33% tip, that's actually a pretty big tip. Okay? But would it make that big of a difference if I left $10 or $12? Not really. Okay? Maybe if they weren't so good, I'd leave 10. If they were awesome, I'd leave 12. But is $2 that big of a deal? Probably not. Okay? So when you're estimating, you just have to be close. So let's look at the last one. 36% of 120. What's close to 36%? What should I round that to? Or what should I make it? Would I leave it at 36%? 36% is not on our benchmarks. Krista. Okay, so I'm going to go 33.3 again. Should I change 120? I wouldn't. What's 120 divided by 3? What's 12 divided by 3? 4 and then add a 0. Okay, so I would leave this number there and my answer is about 40. Because 120 divided by 3 is 40. Now, could have I changed it? Sure. In this case, I wouldn't have, because this was easy to work with. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple others. This isn't on your notes. I just want you to see if you can come up with an answer. What if I said 48% of, let's go, 56. If I asked you to estimate 48% of 56. What would you estimate that to be? %48 is close to what? Those of you at home, if you have a percent, you can write it in the chat. Or if you have a number. Anybody in here have an estimate? What do you think? Savannah, what do you think?
Maybe like 50% of 60.
50% of 60. Absolutely. Why not? That's easy to do in your head, right? And those numbers are close. So she said, let's change it. Not 48%, but 50% of not 56, but 60. That's easy for me to do in my head. 50% is 1/2. What's half of 60? Half of 60 is 30. So there's my answer. Okay, what if I gave you this one? 74% of 24. Okay, look at our benchmarks. 74% is close to what percent?
Second.
75, okay? So let's make this 75%. Okay, now something I didn't show you is I can break this up. 75% is really 25 plus 25 plus 25. Everybody agree with that? Okay. 25% is just 1/4. So I need 3 1/4s. Can we find a fourth of 24? Or what's 24 divided by 4? Nobody knows 24 divided by 4? Are we all, like, really sleeping yet? I'm worried. Really worried, you guys. 24 divided by 4. 4 times what is 24? Cassidy? 6. So if 1/4 is 6, each of these, 1/4 would equal 6, another 4th would equal 6, and another 4th would equal 6. So 6 plus 6 plus 6? About 18. Okay? Questions there? Right around 18. We're estimating. Okay? We could do a problem like this. And you'll see one like this on your homework. Maria took her mother out to lunch for her birthday. The total cost of their food, drinks, and dessert was $20.15. Sales tax is 7%, and Maria wants to leave a 15% tip. How much total money would she have to leave? She has to leave this much, right? She has to leave $20.15 at least. Agreed? Does she have to pay tax? Yes, you have to. Sorry. It's not always fun, but you have to. Do you have to leave a tip? You don't have to, but it sure is not nice if you don't. Okay, waiters and waitresses don't appreciate you. So she has to leave 7% plus 15%. What's 7% plus 15%? What's 7 plus 15? $22%. So I want to know approximately what is 22% of $20.15. I might not want to find 22%. What would be a nicer number to use? Instead of 22%, we could use what? What could we use instead? $5%. Should I use 5? No, that's not even close. Should I use 90%? What's close to 22%? You can always go back to your benchmark list. What's close? Go ahead. 25% is pretty close. I like 25%. 25% is just 1/4. And I know how to find a fourth of something. Do I want to find a fourth of $20.15? Make that nicer. What's better than $20.15? How about just 20? Who cares about the odd amount of change? How about 20? So what's a fourth of 20? Or 20 divided by 4? Cassidy? 5. So $5 is what she would need for the tip and tax combined. Is that what she should leave total? How much money would she need to leave all together? About how much? Leave a 10 and call it good. No. How much should she leave? She has to pay the bill. She has to pay the tip and tax. So she should leave, Savannah?
$25.
About right around $25. $25 or $26 would cover everything. Okay? Would cover the tip and the tax and the bill. Questions there? Okay. We're going to skip this last one. You can cross that out. Okay? So as you're doing your homework today, you're going to do the same thing. You're estimating. You're going to round the numbers to make them nice numbers to work with. Okay? And you can round up or down. It doesn't matter. We're just estimating. Okay? So